It's been too long since we last spoke to Steve Bone on Pompey Sound, on the airwaves, and also on his ever-popular, increasingly popular podcast. So let's put that to rights by saying, hello, Steve, and what about the Southampton game?
Hello. Yes, good to be back with you again. It has been a while, hasn't it? Well, it seems like a while. We were still in League Two, weren't we, last time I spoke to you?
Athenian League, I think.
Probably wasn't quite that. Probably, yes, it was. Yeah, now you're showing your age. Yes, the Southampton game. Yeah, what was it? 5 days ago now, as we're speaking today, but still fresh in the memory. Yeah, very pleased with it, actually. I predicted a draw beforehand, as did a few other Pompey Sound, a few Pompey Sound pundits, I think, and for once we were all correct. I thought we were much the better team in the first half, and you would not have known that we were the team finding our way in our second season in the Championship, and the other lot were just down from the Premier League. You'd never have known that from watching that first half. It was a shame we couldn't just put one of those chances away, whether it was one of the little crosses that might have been touched in, or Dazal's shot that hit the bar. He could have. That could have been a David Norris moment for him, couldn't it, if that had gone in at that end. Second half, I thought Southampton looked as though they were going to sort of build up a head of steam for a little while, but then that petered out, and I thought we were quite comfortable at the end. And actually, as it wore on, if anyone was going to nick it 1-0, I thought it was us. So my view before the game was that if we could go there and not lose, and make sure we beat them at home in the home leg, not the home leg, the home game, I'll be quite happy, and I think most will be happy with that.
Yeah. Let me get your thoughts on the push.
Yeah. Didn't notice, didn't see it in real time. Couldn't quite work out who had collided with who and whose fault it was, but it seems there was a little nudge, wasn't there, from Fellows nudging Ogilvie into Schmidt, and that has left us without Schmidt for, I think they're saying 8 to 12 weeks, aren't they, for him for a broken wrist, and we wait and see how long Ogilvie will be out for. Hopefully not long. I think he might be. Tomorrow might be too soon for him. Sheffield Wednesday game might be too soon for him, but hopefully we'll see him soon after that with a sort of head and neck injury. As John Massino said, no need for it, and a shame it wasn't properly dealt with by the referee on the pitch at the time.
Yeah, I think it's probably fair to say, and I've looked at it over and over again, and you don't have to be a forensic detective to see that he was pushing Ogilvie, and he was pushing Ogilvie into Schmidt, but I don't think he intended anything like the damage that resulted. What I've been unable to work out is what was the impact that caused the egg-sized bulge on Ogilvie's forehead, what that was. I think he had his neck twisted, impacting Schmidt's torso, but I couldn't see whether Schmidt's fracture was caused by an impact or whether it was a twist injury. So the whole thing is, it's not only cataclysmic, considering it was a small push, but there's so many mysteries surrounding it.
There is, yeah, and doesn't it just show how one little incident can lead to, you've got one key player now out for a third of the season, and you've got another one who'd be a regular starter, an automatic starter, possibly missing a game or two. Always seems to be the way with us, doesn't it? It's the freak, it's the little things that seem to lead to long-term injuries for our players. We've had a few on the training ground, haven't we? Over the last couple of years that have been that. Certainly like Boat taking a shot and then missing the whole season because he'd done his knee. And what was it? Alex Robertson ran over the sideline and backheeled a ball and did his hamstring, didn't he, as well, back in the season before last. So, yeah, it doesn't take much, does it, these days, to for a footballer to be injured long term. We just have to hope that, however long those two are out for, we won't miss them too much and we can cover them.
That first half, for you, was it that we were good? Because I thought we were good. But was it also that they were bad? And I'm not being anti-Southampton here. They were bad.
They were, yeah. I think a bit of both, really. I think Pompey went into that game knowing they probably wasn't a game where they wanted to sit back and allow Southampton to play their game and come on at them. So I think Pompey were a little bit more sort of on the front foot than they would be in the average away game. I'm sure we didn't start at West Brom with anything like that that approach, or Oxford before that, and I don't think. We're playing away to Ipswich next week, and I don't think we'll start necessarily in the same way there as we did. I think maybe in the minds of the management, as they were telling the players how to approach that first half, was the fact that it was a derby. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go 1-0 down in a derby early on. You don't want to get the home crowd excited. If you take the game to them a little bit, it just changes the atmosphere, and that can then rub off on a team who's having a difficult start to the season, as Southampton are. That can rub off on them, and I think we saw a bit of that. So I think first things first, Pompey played well, took the game to them, but Southampton didn't seem to have a lot to offer in response. They didn't quite know how to cope with us, did they? Mm-hmm. We were playing it around very well. We were getting it wide when we could, but it was quite a patient game as well. I thought we weren't playing it forward too quickly, but when we got it wide, we were then getting it into the danger area pretty quickly. Murphy, I thought, was excellent all afternoon. Chaplin was everywhere, wasn't he? As you know, he's going to be. So in answer to your question, a bit of both. I think we were very good, and they were quite poor. And we'd be happy with that if that continues for the rest of the season, won't we? At both ends of the M27.
Yeah, because it was the game it was, a lot of people, ourselves included, rather missed a notable event, which was that Mackenzie Kirk was there to be our striker if Bishop needed support or indeed was injured and had to come off. That was quite a revelation, wasn't it?
Yes, come from nowhere to that sort of position, that deputy's position, hasn't he? Really not been with us long. We haven't seen much of him. He was away on international duty, wasn't he, for a couple of weeks as well. Now suddenly there he is, ready to take his chance, and seemingly he's going to be, you'd imagine he'll be on the bench for the Sheffield Wednesday game, but we may well see him either as a replacement for Bishop later in the game, or maybe alongside Bishop at some point. That would be an interesting prospect, wouldn't it? Yeah, he seems to have suddenly become the sort of second choice there, doesn't he? Perhaps knocking one or two others down the pecking order a little bit. Waddingham, I think, has had some injury issues, hasn't he? But maybe is just going to have to wait that a little bit longer. But no, Kirk's an interesting one. I haven't really seen him yet, so we can't judge him. But the coaching staff clearly see something in him since he started training with us, for them to elevate him to the role of Bishop Deputy. So hopefully the fans will get to see that soon as well.
Let's hope the handful of fans who tend to post on social media criticisms of the club and the manager and the players are going to leave it a while before they point out that Bishop isn't scoring quite as many as we're used to, and that our new stand-in goalkeeper, his kicking is suspect. But they're already starting to do it, aren't they?
Yeah. Fans will always give that. It's so easy now for fans to give their view straight away, isn't it? After a game, and even before a game, or at half time, even in some instances. I do think the goalkeeper, if Ben Killip is going to be our first choice goalie for the next 8 to 12 weeks, good luck to him. And again, the manager seems to have a lot of faith in him. I do think the one area of his game, from what we've seen so far of him, that is a concern, is the kicking. Because in the two whole live games that I've watched him play, there have been quite a few kicks that have gone straight into the crowd. And that is a bit of a concern. Maybe we will need to adapt our game a little bit and give him other options, allow him to play a bit shorter to one of his defenders or through to a holding midfielder or something, rather than rely on his kicking too much. But yes, football fans aren't very patient these days, are they? Generally speaking, they want results. They want everything now. They want players to be perfect from the first game they play for their club. But you need to give. If players are new to this team and new to this level, but the manager and the coaches think they have what it takes to succeed at this level, then let's give them a bit of time. Let's have a bit of faith in them as well, and see what they can do, and not judge them on one game.
Agreed. Let's talk about where we are now, Portsmouth FC. At the moment, we are 9th in the Championship. and that's with a squad of players who are valued at around about £19 million. Just to underscore what an achievement this is by John Messino, if you go down to League One, the team that are ninth in League One, a complete tier below us, are Luton, whose squad is valued at 46 million, which is more than twice the value of Portsmouth Football Club. And if you go down to League Two, which is 2 full tiers below us, Bristol Rovers, who are ninth in League Two, they're valued at 6 million, which is really not a lot less than 19 million. So just on that statistic alone, John Messino's achievement to date, to right now, is pretty fantastic, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, he's been doing the job, 2.5 years, just over 2.5 years, hasn't he? And if you think how far we've come in terms of what we've achieved and where we are in the sort of Football League hierarchy, where we are now compared to where we were when he came in, it's an incredible rise, really, isn't it? And in the Championship, we hear so much about the value of squads, and there was a lot of talk last Sunday, wasn't there, about the fact I think Southampton had spent 54 million on players where we'd spent about 5 million. In a way, we've got no right to be 8th or 9th in the Championship, have we? Or based on what we've spent and what we've done, but we're there on merit. It's been a good start to the season. I suppose you worry long term, if we continue to spend less and have less of a budget than all the other teams in the Championship, or 2/3 of the other teams in the Championship. Will we keep on punching above our weight? I don't know, but at the moment you can't argue with it at all. It's brilliant achievement by the coaching staff, but also by the recruitment people. Let's not forget them. We've made some very good signings again this summer. People like Segacic, now Chaplin has come in. That's a great bit of business by anyone's standards. And yeah, there will be quite a few teams below us in the Championship looking at us and thinking, didn't think we'd be behind them. Thought they'd be one of the teams we could guarantee finishing above. I know, we've only played 5 games so far, haven't we? It's early days. You look at it again after 10 games, and that'll be a better measure of it. But so far, so good. We do seem to have progressed quite a bit on last season. That would have to be the summary at the moment.
Yeah, and just to round off the squad value thing, if you take out the loan players, who are almost half the value of the squad, Jan Min Hyuk is valued, I think, at something like 4 or 5 mil. You take them out, and our squad value halves, and we're actually one of the lowest budgeted squads in all 4 divisions. Really? Yeah. It's amazing. Just shows, doesn't it, that the value of a squad in terms of their actual transfer value as individual players in a squad, that doesn't guarantee you anything, does it? You could have a very high value squad in terms of how much the 11 or the 16 or the 20 add up to in terms of their individual values, and you wouldn't necessarily have a better squad than one where the value is half or a quarter of that. There's far more to it than that, and a lot of it is, looking beyond their value, is what a club does with a player once they've got them, once they've spent a bit of money on them. And ours at the moment appear to be, without getting too carried away, they appear to be a very sort of cohesive squad, very well coached, very well organised in terms of a defensive unit. A good balance in the squad between older heads and younger talent. And like as we've said, everyone at the club deserves a lot of credit for that. If you look at where we are in the grand scheme of things at the moment. Yes, now according to Adrian Segacic, John Messino has got 2 messages for the squad this week. One is throw away your rear-view mirrors. Southampton's gone, that's over, forget about it. It's Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield Wednesday at the forefront, the middle and the back of your minds all week long. We want 3 points, thank you very much indeed. And number 2, and I'd be really interested to get your thoughts on this, he says there's plenty of room for improvement still.
Yeah. The first point, is not surprising, is it? Because I think as soon as Southampton finished, and Pompey players went over to the fans and took the plaudits and applauded them for their support. I think probably as soon as they got back in that dressing room, I imagine the manager was saying that. He was saying, don't live on that, don't sort of dine out on that for too long, because if we've got a really good point and draw and result here today, but if you then go and lose at home to Sheffield Wednesday, who haven't won a game yet, next Saturday, this will be forgotten. And it's true. You're only as good as your last result, aren't you?
Yes.
And if you were to lose to Sheffield Wednesday and then had to go to Ipswich and you lost there as well, suddenly you're back in the bottom half of the table. There's other teams catching up and taking over, and that point at Southampton doesn't look as good. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me with the manager. That's bound to be his outlook. Focus on the next challenge, and the fact that this is probably going to be as hard a game as Southampton in a different way, if not harder, because Sheffield Wednesday are coming down here with sort of nothing to lose in a way. They're second from bottom, aren't they? They're not quite the worst Sheffield team in the Championship so far, but they're one off it. Yeah, I can understand the manager saying that. And as for Segacic saying there's room for improvement, well, that's nice to hear, isn't it? Again, I suppose that's a continuation of the theme of sort of not being content with what you've done so far, and sort of being pleased with yourself and patting yourself on the back too much. Because if you spend too long doing that, you'll get found out, and others will nick the ball off you and go and score a goal and go and beat you. So as much as Pompey have played well, they've had more good games than bad games so far this season. Probably only had one bad game really in the league, haven't they? The loss to Norwich. Oh, and even that wasn't terrible. We could have got a point out of that as the game unfolded. So it's been more good than bad, but you can't think like that. You've got to think, right, how can we be 10% better? What can we do to take more of our chances, create more chances, continue to be solid at the back and everything else? So, I like what Segacic is saying there. It's nice to hear that is the outlook in the dressing room.
Yes, whilst you were giving us that picture of John Messina waiting in the dressing room for the players to come in after they'd applauded the crowd, he probably was, because he wasn't invited back for a beer, was he?
No, there was no love lost between the two managers, was there? We had. It's always good when after a 0-0 draw you want some other talking points, don't you? So we got one with handshake gate. Which I don't know, I couldn't see. I mean, I've probably watched replays of the handshake more than I've watched replays of the injury and the chances we had. I couldn't see really that John did anything unusual with the handshake. It was a firm handshake, and he looked at Will Steele briefly, I think, when he offered his hand towards him. But Will Steele seemed to think it was a bit of a. Thought it was a bit much, didn't he? I thought their manager came across as a bit of an odd character, really. I've watched his post-match press conference. There's a couple of Pompey fans I've seen saying he's sitting there answering questions like a moody teenager.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to sort of answer the questions. Didn't want to be there. Was being very defensive and a bit prickly. But I suppose if you're in charge of a team that's just come down from the Premier League, that a lot of people are saying should be in the mix and go straight back up again, and you've had the start they've had, you're going to be a bit defensive, aren't you? But no, a strange character. I think the main sort of consensus of opinion that I've seen from Pompey fans this week is, aren't we glad we've got the manager we've got and not the manager they've got? And I think that's a fair summary without being too personal about it.
Yeah, being Pompey Sound, our opinion pieces, not our editorial, but our opinion pieces are stirring it slightly for Southampton, suggesting that not only are the fans starting to get fed up with Will Still, but possibly the owners are starting to get fed up with Will Still. And we think that maybe the players are starting to get fed up with Will Still, because there were occasions during the first half, I can think of 3 specific occasions, when Southampton players basically, within their own third, their defensive third, passed the ball straight to blue shirts.
Yeah, that's not a sign of a good, happy sort of camp, is it? Really? But then, what could that be down to? Was that down to maybe there was a bit of nervousness in the home dressing room about it, because they knew what a big game it was too. They knew that this was the local rivals coming to town, and they knew that they were expected to win the game. So maybe when the start of the game didn't start going too well for them, and they were getting a little bit rocked back by Pompey, and they were under a bit of pressure from Pompey, maybe when they did have the ball in their own half, they were just trying a little bit too hard to pick the right pass. Players will always get fed up with a manager if results aren't going well, won't they? Like a manager will get fed up with players. The manager won't think it's his fault, and the players probably won't think it's their fault. They'll think, it's the system he's asking us to play, and it's the formation, it's the selection that's at fault. They won't look at themselves quite so much, I don't think. So maybe there's an element of that there. But for a few months we don't have to worry about them too much, do we? We can focus on ourselves, try to stay above them in the table, which would be nice if we can do that. And we'll see them again on the 25th of January.
Now, one news outlet, which I think they call themselves Pompey News, I'm not quite sure whether they're an internet only or possibly they're a publication, but they always write interesting stuff, largely because it's intended to be interesting first and proper journalism second. And they're saying that Mackenzie Kirk is going to start on Saturday. And I think this might just simply be a typo. They've got Williams at right back and Zach Swanson at left back.
Right.
Exactly.
Those are the fullbacks.
Exactly.
You would think there's got to be Williams at left back, as it was on Saturday.
Yeah.
Kirk starting. Have they got Kirk starting as well as Bishop?
Yeah, no, just Kirk.
Just Kirk. I can't. Why would? Well, unless they know something we don't, and Bishop's injured. If that's not the case, Kirk is not going to start in place of Bishop in terms of a straight selection issue. Surely. I'm saying that quite confidently. I'm there to be shot down. I think they're having a bit of they're flying a kite, aren't they? I think with that. I'm not really too aware of this Pompey News outlet. I've heard of them. And I don't remember seeing too much from them that has been exclusive or exclusively right. I might be wrong, I might have missed some things that they've said that have been right, but I just can't see any way that Kirk starts in place of Bishop unless Bishop is injured. And as for Williams I thought did really well actually when he came on. It's not his natural side on left back, but he's a good defender. He's a defensive defender, which not all defenders are these days. And I think in games where you want to be solid at the back, first and foremost, Williams is a good bet. Wherever you play, you could play him actually. You could play him on the left or on the right or in the middle. Actually, he'll do a job for you. I can't see Zach Swanson at left back.
No, let's just talk journalism for a second then, because this same outlet a couple of days before had been critical of Pompey retaining Archer, saying that it's going to cost the club £170,000. They had worked out that the salary that Archer is being paid is approximately that for the 18 months that we'd have to keep him if we have to keep him, even though he's not even registered. And they come to that sum by using the amount of money that is Pompey's total salary bill, dividing that by the number of squad members that we've got, assuming that everybody's being paid the same amount of money, which assumes that the Archer, who is our fourth choice goalkeeper at best at the time, is on a salary par with the likes of John Swift, Marlon Pack, and Chaplin, which of course is total, I'm not going to say the word I want to say, is total nonsense.
No, it's not. They've not really thought that through, have they? It sounds like they've thought, right, let's work out how much having Archer still here and not registered is going to cost us, and then they thought, right, how can we possibly work out how much he's earning and therefore how much it's going to cost us, and somehow they've come up with the idea of dividing the wage bill up evenly. Your fourth choice goalkeeper And I mean, less so now. As soon as your first choice goalkeeper gets injured and is out for 2 or 3 months, it does make you think, "Oh, good job, we've got some other keepers in the building," doesn't it? But when we signed the fourth keeper the other week, Bursic, is it Bursic or Bursic? I think a lot of people are saying, "Well, why do we need 4 goalies? Surely one of them is going to go out on loan." Well, actually, we've got 5 goalies if you include Stewart, who's already out on loan. I think there were some questions about number of goalkeepers in the squad, and therefore how much of the sort of wage bill those goalkeepers are taking up between them. A few questions were asked, but it's I think you've got to trust the management here. He knows how many goalkeepers he wants in his squad and on the training ground during the week. He will have different plans for different goalkeepers. He wouldn't have known about Schmidt's injury clearly until it happened. So he's probably mightily glad now that he's got Killip, Bursic and Archer, although Archer's not registered. I think Archer can be registered if you get a serious injury to a goalkeeper. You can then register a different goalkeeper, I think, within the half season period where normally you can't register another player. So we don't know what the future holds for Archer. We're not necessarily going to have him for 18 months. If all the other 3 keepers do okay and Schmidt comes back and is fit and everything, Archer could move on in January, or he could be loaned out in January. So again, that's a strange story to come up with, by the sounds of it. I didn't see it and don't feel I've missed much by not seeing it.
Well,
without being unkind.
Yeah, I mean, in football reporting, opinion pieces are necessarily a little bit flamboyant. They mustn't be transparently dishonest, but the opinion pieces can be as flamboyant as you like, almost, because it's one person's opinion. But I'm sure you agree with me, and I know it's a flag that you have flown throughout your distinguished career as a sports journalist. When you're publishing fact, it's got to be fact. It's got to be fact.
Yes, yeah, and if it's something you think might be fact, but you're not sure of it, then say you're not sure of it. If you're basing it on if you're basing a story on Archer earning a certain amount a month, then be clear about that in your story. Say talk about the sort of the hypothetical. Say if Archer is earning X amount a week, then he's earning X amount a year, and this is costing Pompey this amount of money. But you shouldn't. Yeah, you should. I mean, it's common sense, really. You shouldn't present something as fact if you don't know it's fact.
No.
And no. I don't think that's just a journalism thing. I think most people would sort of see the sense in that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, we sometimes pay lip service to the news, which we find very largely extremely reliable and well researched and so forth. And they occasionally pick up things that we generate. For example, we were researching Sheffield Wednesday a couple of afternoons ago, and we came across a little footnote in their fan website that it was possible that Flahaven was rejoining the Owls, and we thought, So we did a little bit of research, and all we could come up with was that Aaron Flahaven's younger brother, Darryl, who was on Pompey's books for a while, became a goalkeeping coach after he stopped playing, and spent a spell at Sheffield Wednesday. So when the fan zone thing said that he's hoping to go back up north, we thought, well, we'll put 2 and 2 together. We've nearly got a concrete 4 here. But we ran with it, and it turned out to be true, so much so that the News borrowed it the following day, which we felt was a bit of a credential. But we felt that there was enough to say that it was a fact. We didn't say it. Well, we did say it appears, or it's possible that. But we went with it because we'd done the work. We didn't just sit there and dream it up like they used to with the old Sunday Sport, if you remember that.
Still going, isn't it? Sunday Sport, I think. I think it's. I think sometimes it's about how you word something as well. It sounds as though you've worded it responsibly. You've not said something is definitely going to happen. if you're reporting that something may happen,
Yes.
Rather than something will happen, then it's still worth reporting. But you're getting yourself out of any accusations that, oh, you said that was going to happen and it didn't, sort of thing.
Yes.
There are ways to report things, and sometimes you might know a little bit more than you can say, in black and white.
Yes.
Or on tape in your case.
Yeah.
But again, it still comes down to how you present it and how you phrase it. There's right ways to do it and there's wrong ways to do it. And it sounds like that's a good example of, sometimes you do need to put 2 and 2 together and see what it comes up with.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll be 4, sometimes it'll be 9.
Yes, as you say, there are journalistic equivalents of "Have I got news for yous?" allegedly. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, allegedly now you're going to tell us the score. Portsmouth versus Sheffield Wednesday.
Now you're asking me to put 2 and 2 together and talk about something we don't know the outcome of. I think home win. I think it'll be a hard game. I don't think it's going to be a comfortable win. I think 2-1. And as you know, any win, especially at home, is good for me. Don't mind how they come. Don't mind if it's scrappy. Don't mind if it's highly entertaining. Don't mind if there's one chance and we take it and win 1-0. Always quite happy with that. As I've said before, I quite like winning by 1 goal, because the feeling at the end of a game where you've won by 1 is actually a bit more intense than the feeling if you've won 3 or 4-0. So I don't mind that. So I'm going 2-1. I think Colby Bishop will be selected to start in place of Mackenzie Kirk, and I think he will score a goal. And I think we might see a goal from Zach Swanson as well tomorrow.
Okay, that's a little bit out there.
There's your each way bet. There's your outsider to go and have 50p on.
And we're joining in the protests of the Sheffield Wednesday fans against their owner, I understand.
Yes, which I think is perfectly fair, because I think we can sympathise greatly with them. Just hope that doesn't kind of overtake too much from Pompey fans getting behind the team and supporting the team for 90 minutes as they always do, and as I'm sure they will do tomorrow.
Okay, last question on that. Do you think that Pompey fans will join in the minute's applause 10 minutes into the game in protest against the fact that this Thai businessman who's been messing them around has owned them for 10 years? What do you think?
I think they will, actually. I think that will be, because Sheffield Wednesday fans have made quite a thing of that, and it will be quite obvious after 10 minutes what is happening. I think Pompey fans will join in with that. I think partly because of what we went through with some rogue owners and some unreliable owners 10, 15 years ago, more like 15 now, isn't it? I think Pompey fans can sympathise greatly with what's happening at Sheffield Wednesday. A lot of people are saying the club has been destroyed by the present owner. He's hanging around and they're drifting, and they've got transfer embargo. They could end up in League One next season. They could have gone out of business, I think, a little while ago if things hadn't happened. So, I think Pompey fans will sympathise with that and will be happy to join in with a minute's applause. But if Pompey score halfway through the minute's applause, it will be forgotten.
Steve, it's always a pleasure to hear what you have to say. Talk soon.
Look forward to it.